actually teed me up for the next question without even knowing it. We wanted to talk about the infrastructure. So with that growth, naturally that can be a challenge. So talk about what's going to be needed, what the concerns are, preventative maintenance, investments, replacement. Where are your thoughts on what it's going to take infrastructure wise? Is it in the budget? How are you going to get it covered? If we can start with Scott on this one.
Okay. It's funny because that's one of the main, probably the largest reason why I am running is with my background, mostly in industrial maintenance. My background's fully maintenance, but I'm obviously managing a plant as well. There's been a lot of growth, new water reservoirs, new pump stations, and that kind of stuff. I've asked about preventative maintenance programs for, the facilities such as the wastewater treatment plant, the water plant, and they do some maintenance. I mean, obviously, but there is no program in there. There's really in this day and age, you really need to have a full-on computerized maintenance management system in order to track all of your equipment, in order to do the maintenance and log and data and catch all that, capture it, so that number one, that the equipment's being taken care of, that the maintenance is being done, and you're able to track it. Therefore, you're able to provide a level of reliability that I just don't think is there. We've had a couple issues over the last couple of years with some pumps that burn up. There's no spare, no record really of any preventative maintenance on those. I think in this day and age with this kind of growth and the kind of money that's going into the infrastructure, that a computerized maintenance management system is going to be needed, because I know Kelly's got his hands full. I know the whole crew, the city have their hands full with a lot of equipment. It's just that it isn't there. And it can't be a real simple, basic program. It's going to have to, be thought out, all the equipment captured, put in, and in the long run, it's going to provide that level of reliability and a level of accountability to the public, because, right now there really isn't. You listen to the meetings and we're doing this, we're changing oils, but when asked, there really isn't a full-on system. And it's something that I've approached Mayor Reuter when he first became mayor, and we talked about it, and he thought it was a great idea, but nothing's really happened over the last 4 years. I know it's been brought up at some meetings, but again, I see a new, pump station going in out on Meeker that I know the Portland and the city went in on, and it was very expensive and it's a very nice unit, but I have asked a couple of people, what's the PM program for that? What kind of spares did you guys get? That kind of stuff. So that is exactly where I want to, why I want to be part of the city council and be part of this growth, is to implement that type of program to make sure that not only this taxpayers are getting every bang for their buck, but that they know their equipment, their facilities, whether it's the basic water infrastructure, the sewer plant, or the water plant itself, is being taken care of and maintained properly.
Okay. Mayor Reuter.
Okay, I'm gonna have to kind of disagree with Mr. Moon on this. He's second guessing Kelly using information from his brother that works for the city. He's not been really part of the city council except for the last couple of meetings, and he's gleaming limited information from his brother on multiple different fronts, from a pipeline nowhere. And it's not the job of the council to second guess he might have asked questions, but when I talked to Adam, I actually did talk to Adam and Kelly, and neither one of them got questions from Mr. Moan about why we didn't do this and why we didn't do that. So I'm really having a kind of a problem with somebody second guessing leadership or department heads that are doing a great job. Especially, like I said, that you're getting secondhand information from not even the manager itself, from a second level type of supervisor. So
Really?
I just want to straighten that out to start out with.
Can I rebut that?
Well, let's
Yes, go
give
ahead.
him his time. He's still in his first minute. So we'll circle back. This seems to be a little bit of a hot button, but I'm gonna let Mayor Reuter continue.
So, like I said, our job is to, like I said, facilitate any kind of infrastructure needed. And one of the things we need to work on in the long term is a new sewer plant, because of the existing one has a limited lifespan. So we're working with the port as we speak to build one, hopefully maybe on port property. We're still looking at doing a joint venture and to working together and kind of splitting the costs and figure out a way forward that will benefit both of us.
Okay, Scott, we'll come back to you for any. Let's finish the initial answers. I would like to dive in. I had a follow-up question as well to even your statements. So I do want to come back. So I won't forget you. John, if you could go next, sir.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that's important for me is the role of council in setting policy, and establishing policy that is supportive of our departments, and what the department heads are trying to accomplish, and also then providing the best service for the best price to our citizens. Having been a part of the council for the last 2 years, our city, we are perennially faced with the challenge of a tight municipal budget, right? Despite all the growth we've had, there's still not, huge piles of money sitting around. And so I think one of the things that I've come to appreciate is the challenge of picking and choosing where we wisely invest, right? I think we've made important strides in investing in stormwater management. I'm excited that it looks like we're going to be putting the stormwater study back into this next budget, so we can continue to secure the downtown against flooding, right? I mean, for as much as we talk about economic development growth in downtown, it all hinges on being able to manage stormwater, right? And also making decisions. I think one of the things that when you look, while our water rates are pretty low compared to our neighboring cities, our sewer rate is high, right? And as I understand it, that's a product of kicking the can down the street from years past, and so I'm hesitant for us to not meet the cost of inflation, right? But also to, I think one of the things I've been proud of seeing the staff come to the council with is finding creative ways to minimize the impact of rate raises, but in a way that doesn't hamstring the city's efforts to provide infrastructure and cover infrastructure growth for the future. And so, I think, those are some of the main issues that I see moving forward.
Okay. And Sandra, see, I told you wouldn't be first.
Thank you. Actually, my liaison responsibility on the council is Public Works, and I am extremely proud of the department. I have watched them deal with an ever-growing city, and try to be creative and get the work done and meet the needs of the city. And they have done, in my opinion, very well. We have been awarded our drinking water Department of Ecology Award for John or Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, I want to say 13 out of the last 16 years or something of that nature. So we have high quality work being done. My concern is that Mr. Moon is focusing on a system that would be wonderful to have, but that would mean raising taxes for our citizens, and I don't want to do that. And that is one of our greatest challenge, like John said. We have a limited budget. We do what we can with the budget. We make sure things are taken care of. And I utmost support Adam and Kelly in the work that they do. And I feel they're doing what they need to do. That's it.
Excellent. All right, Scott, I guess that's kind of where I was going to go with it. I was going to ask, you know, your background with these systems. I was going to ask if you have done the work to ballpark a cost, and if you knew if that fit into the budget or where the additional funds would come from. So along with your brief rebuttal, I guess I'd also like to know the financial side of what that system looks like and what's going to pay for it.
Okay, so just let's take a step back here. I'm not throwing anybody under the bus. I'm not questioning Kelly or any of the department heads, like Mayor Reuter said. And I'd really like to understand what you meant by a pipeline to nowhere. I have over $1 million maintenance budget, so it's a hydrogen plant. Beyond that, so I have yet to pull and ask for public records, but I know that there's been some waste. And yeah, my brother does work for the city of Kalama. In fact, I'm pretty darn good friends with all the guys that work for the city of Kalama, including Kelly. I've known Kelly my whole life. I'm not saying anything bad about Kelly. I'm not going for Kelly's job. That's the rumor around, but that's the furthest from the truth. My whole point of this is to identify wasted money, not to come up with new money from taxpayers, but if I can find wasted money and show the city that this system not only will pay for itself, but will make the system more reliable and also provide accountability. And I've been using computerized maintenance management systems for well over 20 years. And it's, instead of just having it written down or scribbled on a piece of paper or in a spreadsheet or something, this is tracked. You create work orders. The work orders go out to the people that do the work. The work gets done. If they find an issue, it goes back to the head department. They write out a corrective over that PM, a corrective work order, so that the work is tracked and done. As far as budgeting, you know, I'd have to look at it. I don't have access to all the budget, but I know I can go in and find waste and pay for it. And yeah, it's not cheap, but in the long run, it's worth it. You know.
Is this something that you all would put to the? Is this something that would go to the voters, or is this something that council would decide on?
No, it could go before council. I mean, they've made decisions such as this before to help, but if needed be, if that's the way the council wanted it to go, it could go before the voters. I mean, I think people would want accountability and reliability in their system, especially at the rate that it's growing and as much money as they're investing in it.
Any other final thoughts from anyone else on that, on the budgetary impact?
Mike, can I just jump in real quick, Mike?
Yeah, go ahead, John.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're all for maintenance. We're all for taking care of our investments. You know, does this system sound enticing? Yeah, I want to see a price tag. I'd like to know what, you know, one of the things that I've been frustrated with is, and this is over the last few years, is sometimes we get ideas pitched to us in the council where there's no price tag involved. And again, it's hard to talk about, I can't talk to my wife about whether we're going to buy a new car if we've never talked about the cost of it, right? Regardless of the value of its contribution to our family, we need that. And so, Scott, I'm saying this not to be dismissive, but just to say, like, yeah, I'm happy to have the conversation, but I can't have it without the price tag, right? Because I know our budget, which is public record, that's just what I want to say. Again, I'm not being hostile or pushing back. That's kind of where I'm at of, yeah, let's have the conversation. I think we are taking good care. And if we can take better care of our city, yeah, I'd love to. I just also know that we have certain budgetary constraints. So thanks. That's just my quick little response.
Mike, do you want to go first?
Yeah, and Mr. Moon, the reason why I did bring up that pipeline thing is at the candidate forum that you were saying that Kelly put a pipeline in and didn't get the easements, and so now we're out $1 million. And that's why you said you're running, is because that the lack of planning by the department head shows that there's not been really any kind of leadership in terms of Kalama. At this council meeting at the candidate forum, that's exactly why you said you're running.
That was one of the reasons, Mike, and I was there. So
I know, but I'm just trying to say
you were referring to the pipelines that I manage.
I know, but that's first of all, and then second of all, like I said, it's not the stuff that you're bringing up. Let's just say that the stuff that you brought up is all true about. We could maybe it's 50. Let's just say $50 instead of running for council. Wouldn't it be easier just emailing Kelly and see what he says about it, or to talk to Adam about it, and instead of throwing them, I don't want to say throw them under the bus, but second guessing them in a spot that you have no experience in terms of, you don't know what, you're not in Kelly's shoes. It's so easy to tell
I'm
Kelly.
not throwing Kelly under the bus, Mike. You're taking this out of context.
All right.
This is for the city. It's for the taxpayers. It's for the people. It'll make Kelly's job actually easier.
So that's your job, is to tell Kelly how to spend his money and how
it's
to.
not my job, Mike.
Right.
It's a benefit to the city. We're spending a lot of money. This town is growing. At some point, we need to take care of it better. There's
So
better
how do you
ways.
know it's not getting done? Are you trying to say that the information that you got from Chad is that good that you can make these kind of decisions?
Who says it all comes from Chad, by the way?
That's what I'm saying, is how do you get this information? You're gleaning this from secondhand sources and not
Mike,
from.
I've been to the sewer treatment plant. I've been to the water plant.
So
I've been around the city.
I just want to let you know that, okay. So I just want to kind of talk about that, because I do have kind of
This has nothing to do with my brother, Mike. This is about me paying taxes and living in the city of Kalama, seeing the 5th Street pumps go out. And the pipeline to nowhere, that was a little upsetting.
But you don't know all the information about that. That's what's ironic about it. Is
What information do you think I don't know, Mike? What information do you think I don't know?
Let me hear how you think that this pipeline is going to go if we can't get the easement. Let me hear about it, because I know how it's going to go.
How's it going to go? You're going to eminent domain and take it?
Nope, that's the reason why. That's exactly why you're not.
No, Mike. No. I asked you a question. Don't assume. You're
What they already talked about doing. They already have a way of going another direction, but it's going to be more expensive. The cheaper way is to go eminent domain. So like I said, you don't have all the information to make these kind of decisions. So anyway, I just want to kind of put that out there.
Wait, wasn't the pipeline supposed to go in the Burlington Northern right away?
Yes, but the Burlington roll, they said, no, that's what I'm saying. You're another partial information. You're making your gleaning
Mike,
off of.
Gentlemen, we're going to move on from this.
Right.
I read it, Mike.
We're good.
Let's
I appreciate it. Sandra, one last comment on this, and then we're moving on.
Yeah, Dave, I just wanted for your sake, so you can understand what's going on. I believe they're talking about capital equipment that under Public Works has a 5-year plan. And the reason why it's a 5-year plan is because the economic development people provide grants every year, or had been prior to COVID. And they're pretty significant. We're talking $400,000 grants. And so one of the projects, and it may be this project, I do not know, but one of the projects was to get water over to the port area for the business and residents, and it's a loop system. Right now it goes one way, and if something happens to that system, then there's no other way to get water there. So they want to put in a loop system. Perfect sense. We did not want to have to, and this is probably all total a couple $1,000,000, and we didn't want to tack that on to the citizen. So we dragging it out over a few years, and Kelly has gotten many grants of $400,000 and phased it in. Now he talks about it going nowhere. At this point, it may not be going somewhere. It's in this last phase. And because of COVID, they did not award any grants during COVID, which is understandable. But we have one more phase, and that is to connect it. And there's also the issue that they're talking about property that's being dealt with. So there's a lot of issues behind the scenes. I'm sure, like the mayor has said, I am positive that Kelly or Adam would have explained this to Mr. Moon had he asked. And he may have done that. I do not know. All I know is that I keep hearing this information, and it's misinformation to say publicly that it's a pipe to nowhere. It has a goal. And more importantly, that goal is going to be a benefit to the port because the end piece will increase the pipe to 8 inches, which will be better for fire flow and for businesses. And maybe the port can add some businesses because they'll have the loop system. So it's a very economic development program, and it's a very complex. And we choose to take it through the grant route, which every one of the grants have been $300,000 to $400,000 that we've received. That's money that we did not have to tack on to the budget or take out to the public. So it's not a pipe to nowhere, it's a pipe to the future. And it's to the future without any significant financial impact to the citizens of this city. And that really disturbs me that someone's out there misrepresenting that and sending out misinformation. Thank you.
So I can tell you this. I said it was a pipe to nowhere because the first part of it was done and it was never intended to go on that property. And I know it's not a pipe to nowhere, Sandra. I know exactly what the intentions were. I know it was to make a loop, and I know what the economic benefits are. The problem is it didn't get finished when the right-of-way was open. And now you guys were stuck looking for an alternate route, but it did pop up on private property. And nobody can dispute that. It's on private property. And I understand the economic benefits of it, but it is public. It is public knowledge. It is out there. I'm not spreading anything. I'm not saying anything that some people don't already know. My point was that before the project was started, if you were going to end up on private property, you probably should have contacted the private property owner, got permission first, instead of it being stopped and stuck. That was my whole point. Or the job should have been completed in the timely manner when Burlington Northern had the right-of-way open, but it didn't get done. And as soon as they closed it up, you couldn't reopen that right-of-way. Therefore, you had no choice but to go through private property. That's what my point was.
We're okay. Thank you, Scott. We're going to move on to another question. If you guys want to circle back to this, make any other statements related to this or anything else we've talked about when we get to our kind of your wrap up, feel free, of course. But we only have one other question for the panel, and then we'll be right at that.